Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Saturday, August 19th, and we are using this weekend to give you a little snippet of an unbelievable interview that we were able to conduct with Dave Stachowiak. He is the founder of Coaching for Leaders, and Dave appeared on our webinar recently in June. He's so great. He's so much fun to listen to, and he gives such important advice for people in the workplace. So I thought it would be cool for you guys to get a little nibble of what it's like to be part of Jill on Money Live. That is our subscription service. That's where you have access to quarterly live webinars like the one we conducted with Dave. And don't forget, our next one's coming up. Don't forget, it's the very exciting NFL teaser. That's right. We're going to have Nate Burleson join us on Wednesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. He's going to talk all about the NFL and, of course, his love of personal finance. But right now, let's turn our attention to Dave Stachowiak, and he helps us navigate this crazy world of working from home and dealing with a boss who really has some unreasonable demands sometimes. So here is a little bit of our conversation with Dave Stachowiak. I wonder if you could also take this from the viewpoint of the worker who feels like it is, you're an executive, you're getting your work done. You have a boss who's like, no, now you have to come in because I said so. So can we talk about how to have more productive conversations around this if you're the one who's on the other end of that, of that policy?
Yeah. I think it's a similar perspective, just from a different lens. It's going back to the big picture. What is my job description? What are the objectives for this role that the organization wants me to meet over whatever that time frame is, 90 days, 6 months, the next year, and starting with a conversation about that with one's manager and looking at past performance, track record, and objectives, and having that big picture conversation first, and finding alignment there with your manager on that. And then where am I working? What does the schedule look like? Again, I think becomes more of a tactical question. And if you find that, as many people are, hey, my organization is pushing back on me and they want me to be in for 4 days a week and I want to be in for 2 days a week, maybe you lay the groundwork then for that conversation for the future. And you say, okay, no problem. I get it. We're all trying to figure this out. Mm-hmm. Here's the objectives we both have. Here's what's important to us. Let's look at this in 6 months. And if I've met or exceeded these objectives, would you be open to us having a conversation about what schedule looks like tactically, assuming I'm continually meeting or exceeding the objectives? I think too often we think of these conversations as like a one and done.
Yeah.
Like I need to sit down and have a conversation with my boss, and either they're going to say yes or no. And I think a lot of times we miss the opportunity to lay the groundwork for an ongoing conversation, because frankly, if I'm an executive or a business owner and someone is knocking it out of the park, I'm going to be way more flexible with how they work, their schedule, where it is, than I am with someone who's not achieving those results. So I think that for me, it always comes down and back to the business case.
I have another interesting question that just actually came up today from a colleague at work, because I was, again, really touting the Dave interview. This guy said to me, what do you do if your boss comes to you and offers you a job that is a promotion, but you really don't think it's the right job for you?
This happened to me, actually, Jill, toward the end of my Carnegie career. So, I mean, it's very relevant for just my own journey of like, I had a executive come to me and say, we'd really like you to take on this role. And my first thought was like, oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think this is the right role for me. So here's the way I handled it. And I'd also suggest for folks who are in a situation like this is start by looking at the role that's being proposed, the best you understand it. If it's written out and documented, even better. But to the best you understand it, get it down on paper. What do you think the job's really about? What are the 4 or 5 really key result areas that are part of this role and this position as you understand it in the best way you can? And you map those out and you get it down on paper. And then you take that and look at, okay, what are the skills that I need? I mean, you're essentially writing your own job description, which, by the way, is a great thing for all of us to do anyway, on any of our roles, is to map out like, what's my actual job? What are the results? What are the key skills that I need? And to your colleague, I'd invite them, Jill, like, go through that process, write that down, think about what are the skills that you need, and then to process that, and then go back to the person who's offering that position and say, hey, here's what I did. I went through and really thought about this from the lens of the organization. What does the organization need? And here's the skills I think this role needs. And here's how I think I line up or don't. And here's what I'm concerned about. And then having hopefully a conversation about like, okay, what does this look like? And I think that there's a lot to be said for all of us sometimes taking on a role that we're not entirely comfortable with. And I've had this happen in my career and like stepping in and be like, okay, I'm going to do my best. Also, everyone knowing that I'm going to be learning things as I go. But also, sometimes you go through that whole process and there's a lot of things that don't line up. And that was my experience when I had this happen to me, Jill. I wrote out like 8 pages of like what I thought this was. And 6 of the pages were like, oh, no. And I went back to my boss and said, like, I've written this out and here's what it looks like to me. Like, here's a whole chunk of this job that doesn't line up. And once I did that, he was like, oh, yeah, I hadn't really thought about that piece. And we figured it out. So there's just something powerful about getting things down on paper. And it takes a bit of the like initial emotion out of it too. You end up looking at it a little more logically. And you again are looking at it from the results, the business case. And I think that helps to have a place where you start that conversation then.
Well, I hope you like that. We're going to do another little taste of Dave tomorrow, where we're going to be talking a lot about work-life balance. Dave has a whole other way of thinking about that, so you'll have to tune in tomorrow for that. Meanwhile, if you've got a financial question, if you are trying to navigate some strange workplace issues, you're trying to figure out what to do next in your career or anything else in your financial life, go to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Don't forget to let us know if you'd be willing to come on the air live. Lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.